Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Audio check. Can you guys hear me? Audio check. Yes, no. And I bet they can hear me on. All right. Okay. All right. You sure you can't hear me? Let me try. Oh, this is the Discord problem. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now? Is my audio okay now? Sound now, no file. Okay, what about now? Can you hear me now? You can hear me? Okay. All right, so that was actually a Discord problem, which is great. And yeah, so the Pyre Producer account got logged out. It got logged out, and I don't know where that password is. So yeah, I'm just doing it all manually today through a single account, which is fine because I can still OBS stream through it. Let me make sure that I'm selecting the right thing here. But anyways, okay, guys, there's already an update to this dashboard. There's already an update to this dashboard that I am, I guess, somewhat excited to reveal. I'm looking at over there. By the way, I'm wearing this sweater that I thought would be like festive and exciting, but because it's green, it looks like the set behind me. Do you guys see that? Yeah, it's green sweater with a pink Jaguar or something. And yeah, you know, I thought it was a great idea, but clearly the green screen doesn't agree with me. Anyways, okay, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Managing? Excited? Bullish? Okay. Alessio, have you seen the yield dashboard yet? Yes, okay. So I realize more and more that what is still like intuitive to me is not understood at all by like anybody in Web3. And I'm going to be, as we roll out updates for this dashboard, because there's already like a newer version of the sandbox I'm looking at now, and there's already a few things that I want to change about it. But the as you guys are aware, you know, the whole advantage to this project, or should I say the whole value, as you guys are aware, the thing that this project wants to help its user base with most is to give them the ease of analysis. Does that make sense to you guys? Like help you guys analyze crypto investments more? This yield dashboard is meant to do that. And it's meant to do that specifically for people in the liquidity positions. So the thing about analysis, though, is that it still involves predicting the future. And therefore, there's never certainty with analysis. Does that make sense? Like, there's different weights. There's different variables. You know, you can give your best guess, and it's certainly better than the worst guess. But there's always multiple things to consider. Now, in this yield dashboard, we have multiple projections of APY projected into the future. And the important thing to understand there is that these are all meant to help you, but they all disagree with each other because they look at the future differently. I hope that makes sense. And the reason they look at the future differently is because for them to all look at the future the same way would be to put them all in the same position, which is kind of like maximizing wrongness. I've used the metaphor of broccoli farming in the fast to describe this, where there's an entire village of broccoli farmers. By the way, we have the armchair on set here. It seems like it's pulled forward because this set behind me is a little bit yeah, it seems a little bit distant. I should probably zoom the backdrop in a little bit. What do you think? However, it is my opinion that had we been able to roll this dashboard out like during Genesis and at least had a shot of explaining what this dashboard does for the holders of the token, we would be a lot closer to peg today than had we not. So like this dashboard is coming in super late, but this dashboard is definitely there to help people understand how much of the future they can control. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope it does. We can't know now. Yeah, exactly, Alessio. Yeah, that right there is an example of hindsight bias for sure. But Alessio, have you seen the dashboard and do you at least understand like everything on it, more or less? No video anymore. Oh, I see. Okay. I see what happened. All right. Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, right now I have to make sure to not log into the into the channel on the phone, which I used to do for my microphone. But now I'm doing it all on a single mic, which is actually probably a little bit cleaner and better. So this is probably a better setup anyways. I hope that makes sense. But then I do realize that there's still like concepts or perhaps like underlying things that people are like looking for. And a lot of this stuff, like when it comes to the future, you know, I'll think of it like this. These projected APYs, each one of them is coming from an equation that allows you to conduct fundamental analysis in crypto. However, it's not the same equation. Because when it comes to predicting the future, like, there's no really perfect prophecy. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys know who Jim Cramer is? I'm glad you guys are laughing. Well, like, Alessio, so when Jim Cramer, who is part of the inverse Cramer ETF, right, and you're familiar with that whole meme, when Jim Cramer basically finally decides that something is worth buying, legitimately what it means is that Jim Cramer is about to send a bunch of dumb money into it. So the smart money, what they've done is they've reverse engineered Jim Cramer's analysis, like over hours and hours of watching him. And what they do is they get into position first ahead of things that they expect him to recommend. So as soon as he recommends it, they're dumping. Does that make sense? And that's why the inverse Cramer ETF, like, it's theoretically it's up more than it's down. Like, it's not because Jim Cramer's analysis is wrong. It's that if enough people are front running the analysis, the market can have it priced in before you even get in. I hope that makes sense. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I can't wait to do these videos like pre-recorded because I'm going to be so much more eloquent. And yeah, I just mean that right there. Do you guys get what I'm saying though? So when we have 3 or even 4 projections, like understand, we want to give you like a projection based on a short-term time frame and a projection based on a long-term time frame. That's actually very much like how a technical indicator works, right? You guys know like MACD, moving average, like those lines on charts. MACD, as it's called, moving average, convergent, divergent. Do you guys know this technical indicator? Okay, yeah. So these projections are basically just moving averages from those periods. Does that make sense? It's a moving average from those periods, then projected into the future. Does that make sense? Fantastic. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate that a lot. Well, I'm glad you guys are having fun. By the way, speaking of everything, so while I was doing a whole bunch of organizing, which is something that I need to do right now, I did find the white paper for layer 0. And this is the 2021 white paper. And I reread it and I compared it against my notes from before, because basically we want to answer the question about whether or not some type of interruption can happen that ends up making the layer 0 endpoint associated with Phantom no longer functional, right? Would everyone agree that that's a concern? Like they want to make sure that layer 0 continues to at least be something that you can get to Phantom with? Right, yeah. So I have at least, I did the research, I reread the whole thing, and there is nothing that implies that it would go away, but I'm still asking people, specifically people that are very, very good at scrutiny, to look into it further, because Layer 0 released another white paper in 2023, which was, I think, in more simple language. The one that I read was extremely complicated language, and it's more so that just like, hey, this bridge, because again, the bridges we're continuing to try to use are Axelar network and Layer 0, Axelar and Layer 0, and we really want to use both of them. We really want both of them to stay up, if that makes sense, because that's redundancy, that's resilience, and yeah, like obviously we're looking at that ahead of time, because we would never bum rush the money in, like we would never bum rush TVL onto Phantom if we're not sure that like we can't also bring people in through Learn Pyre the same way. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Well, again, on Learn Pyre, we're teaching them the bridge two ways. We're teaching them the bridge with Layer 0, and we're teaching them the bridge with Axelar Network, right? Squid Router and Stargate. Does that make sense? Lighting is not bad today. I mean, it's decent. Focus. I'm definitely continuing to stay good at videography here. That's bullish in my own. Sorry, I'm just critiquing myself. Yeah. Are you guys? Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Mac. Are you guys like extra depressed today because Bitcoin touched 86? Where's it at right now? Okay. Here's what I should say then. How about that? Here's what I should say. I'm now accelerating on my ability to output the actual content of Learn Pyre. Like I was delayed for months and months and months, about almost half of this year, right? At least 4 months, I feel like, was time spent not working as diligently as I had in the previous year. But as soon as I get back into it, like as soon as I get back, like elbow deep into the project, I want you guys to know there is 0 things that make it look like we're not going to make it. And there's everything that makes it look like we are going to make it. I'll rephrase that because I probably wasn't clear enough. We are going to make it. Like, I'm looking at the stuff that I've already done. I have done so much for this. I have done so much. Like, I have been bleeding from the fingers and the eyes. We are going to make it because I can guarantee you nobody else in Web3 is swinging as hard as I am. Like, I look at my work and I'm like, I'm a crazy person that works too hard. Like, does that make sense? Like, I legitimately am being advised by people that say I don't rest enough. I need to be like more, I need to think more about rest and recovery. And like, I just don't. Like, I'll eventually have to, and I'm trying to like make it so one day a week, like I don't injure myself, or like I try to figure out more ways to meditate and fit stuff like that in. But like all idle thought makes me think about working and like the big vision and the big project, if that makes sense. And when I get back into it, I realize everything I've done so far for it has been absolutely world class, like has been so high effort. Again, this is the Manhattan Project of marketing in Web3. Nobody has done it. I will say this again. On top of that, there's so much hype for this marketing project. I want you guys to understand there are at least 5 influencers with 6-figure followings who are standing by just to be like the initial feedback group of this marketing project. Indeed, Alessio, indeed. Yeah. But I want to at least convey that energy, because sometimes I come into these streams and it's like Bitcoin touched 86 and then everybody's sad and then they mope. Does that make sense? Like I do need you guys to understand that like there's a reason people say where there's a will, there's a way. Like I'm not running out of will anytime soon, and I continue to only see ways. Again, Alessio, I would have not gotten as good at videography if I intended to fuck this up. Like, I don't know if you can tell, like, the videography now, Alessio. Like, I don't know if you can see all these details. Oh, yeah, for sure. Alessio, well, we're continuing. Like, I don't know if you can tell. But legitimately, this is without a Pyre producer, right? Pyre producer, multiple people who are theoretically better than me at videography. But I think that I got more of what this stream needed. Like, I got more of the lighting correct. I got more of the audio correct. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. You know what I should do? Oh, great question. Is that Crypto Nick? Or Kideza? Okay. Yeah. So, legitimately, Alessio, I am providing, I'll do this tomorrow as well. I am going, well, okay. It's no longer going to get stuck because we have bots that automatically do the things needed so that, every liquidity pair that needs to get volume gets volume, if that makes sense. That right there is also like a placeholder, a measure. That right there is also like a placeholder measure. And the goal is that those bots also become redundant when we deepen liquidity with TVL. We deepen the liquidity to the point the arbitrage bots do the work. Does that make sense? Yeah, and the reason why, Alessio, is that like the devs are trying to get as much data as possible right now. So what that means is, let's see. Okay, what that means is that, yeah, like right now, while it's quiet, like we don't have an actual user base yet, they're trying to kind of run their own experiments. So that's why they're perhaps asking people not to do that. But yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Alessio, me too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. In fact, it was supposed to be in October. Yeah, but Alessio, the context of that liquidity deepening comes from a real estate transaction being finalized. So a property getting sold. Right. So the thing there is that both the buyer and the seller are real estate investors. Like they both own property. Like neither one of them lives in the property. The seller does not live in it, never has lived in it. The buyer is never going to live in it. Does that make sense? It's literally one landlord selling to another landlord. Does that make sense? So they play real estate investor games, and a lot of it involves just flexing the patience they have on each other as a means of haggling. Does that make sense, Alessio? Real estate has a much different time preference than crypto. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But Yeah, it continues to look like it's happening. Yeah, I have not heard anything that implies that it isn't happening, right? If the buyer gets hit by a bus, I mean, it could not happen. But like, I think that this guy has been trying to buy it for many, many years. So yeah, I think he's going to buy it. Let's put it that way. Well, Alessio, we didn't like. We are gonna do Learn Pyre with or without us. Yeah, yeah. Like I'm not like delaying Learn Pyre for the TVL. Yeah, but like I'm getting the TVL. Like I don't know. This is part of my whole family. This is all stuff that comes from my stepdad's death. Does that make sense? So like in the wake of my stepdad's death, it's kind of required for this to happen. Like there's not enough people to manage this property anymore. Does that make sense? So this property is kind of distressed. Following me? But it's not distressed. It's paid off. There's no mortgage on it, right? And it's also an income producing property, so it makes money. So yeah, like in the end, it's definitely getting liquidated, but it's just getting liquidated at the pace of 2 real estate investors. And I think that you're thinking that like this month or 2 of like time is like some type of tentativeness of whether or not it's going to happen. But in real estate, that isn't the case at all. That's just like how crypto people think of time. That's a great point, Javer. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, it's definitely happening, but like it does not have the time preference of crypto, because if it did, it would be unsustainable. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So like the fact that it could go up or down, like that's not how real estate works. Like, and I'll tell you this, Alessio, I would much rather Bitcoin be lower when we have to buy 100 grand of it. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, so I'm not really, like, I'm just going to allow that to happen at the pace it's going to happen, because I can't control it either way. But I can just keep working on content. Clearly, I can work on videography. Does that make sense? You're always going to end up in situations. And by the way, Alessio, that's an example I'm trying to set right now. So you're in a position right now where you can't control me. Does that make sense? Right? Like Five's pace. You can't speed Five up. You can't slow Five down. Does that make sense? That's part of the frustration right now. That's part of your frustration. Do you get what I'm saying? But do you guys get what I'm saying? So if I had to take like weeks off to go to a funeral over the summer, like that's outside of all the investors' control, right? Just like it's outside of my control, the pace at which this deal closes. Let me turn this back on. All right. Okay. Does that make sense? Well, Javery and Alessio, I'm actually going to tie this into the yield dashboard, because the point of the yield dashboard is to allow you guys to focus on what you can control. Does that make sense? Because, and again, when we push this next version of the yield dashboard, when you push the next version of it, you'll be able to see something called projected demand on Pyre Phantom. I don't know if you can see that on the version you guys see yet. But the point being is, you'll be able to see like how much your liquidity positions actually make Pyre Phantom's price climb over time. Because if I were to drop dead right now, you guys could still repeg Pyre Phantom. You could do that just by shilling the fuck out of this yield dashboard. Does that make sense? Yeah, Jerry, I wasn't planning on it. But the point being is that like this yield dashboard is meant to be of great value to you. I just need to teach it to you. Oh yeah, I mean, okay. Do you want to pivot to geopolitics? They blew up more boats. The U.S. Navy did. This time it's in the West Pacific, which is weird because Venezuela doesn't have like a Pacific coast, I don't think. But maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe they're, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. No. No, yeah. I'm not working with VCs. Alessio, a friend of mine, okay, I will tell you this. So, do you know that we're getting a local machine? Do you know that we're getting a server cabinet? Did I tell you this yet? Yeah, okay. That right there is coming from a guy, okay? That right there is coming from my friend, and his company was literally destroyed by VCs, okay? So he has a whole bunch of spare hardware from a cloud rental GPU company, and I'll just leave it like that, like a VRAM rental company. And his story, along with a few other stories I know from guys who took venture, yeah, like I'm not going to take any venture at all. And I don't know why you think we need them, Alessio, because VC money is not going to bring in a user base. Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that'll bring in a user base is Learn Pyre. Just so you know. Like, even the TVL does not bring in a user base. Yeah. Oh, but we wouldn't use VC money for liquidity. Yeah. Right, because VCs have term sheets. Yeah. Do you know what a term sheet is? Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, I don't even know if I would call Solana that. Yeah, but then like they end up dumping it later. I mean, Sonic Labs had VC, Alessio. Yeah, Sonic Labs used VC. But yeah, like I just don't think that using VC is good for the user base. So like that right there, like that was, by the way, non-crypto VC. But in general, Alessio, like the month, like yeah, I can't think of more of a waste of time than doing venture capital right now. Yeah. Alessio, then it won't help either. Yeah, like it won't help either. Yeah, like they get a benefit, but like what do we get? Why do we need TVL, Alessio? Yeah. Like, why can't we use our own money for TVL? In fact, like this yield dashboard, should it be educated the right way, will do wonders on increasing TVL. Yeah, exactly, Jabri. Yeah. But like, I'll be honest, Learn Pyre never really had any sort of TVL like destiny. Like this real estate sale will happen and then the TVL will come. Like it's not hinging on that. Our success doesn't hinge on the TVL. Yeah, not at all. Yeah. Alessio, the yield dashboard, the one we have, is the best one in Web3. It's the best one in Web3 you can get for free. Okay? Even the version 1, which you might be still be looking at, that's the best one in all of Web3. People don't realize that you can make money over time by yield in LP. Additionally, certain LPs buy Pyre Phantom up. Like they project demand, like they put demand on Pyre Phantom to make it climb faster. This alone, damn. Alessio, you have to think about the small things you can control. Yeah, like don't ever be like waiting for like some large thing to come save you. I don't know how else to describe that. Yeah, like that would be what I would be doing if I'm like waiting for the TVL to come myself. And it won't, because the TVL is not going to bring in a user base. Does that make sense? Yeah, Jamie, that's true. Yeah, Alessio, it won't. Yeah, it won't. Yeah, you know why? We did a Genesis and it didn't bring a user base. Yeah, we did a Genesis for like 6 months. Yeah, did not gain a user base. That was like 600,000 TVL at peak, but we didn't get a user base. Where would they see? Yeah, where? Okay, explain how the new user first discovers this project and then becomes a user off of the TVL going up. Yeah, learn Pyre matters. Okay, Jeffrey, learn Pyre there is 95% of that, the weight there. Yeah, Alessio, they don't. Yeah, they don't. Yeah. Where would they see these metrics? Alessio, this would only be 150,000 TVL. That doesn't look like good. This is only 150 grand. Yes, Alexi, thank you. Yeah. Alessio, like, it didn't bring people. Yeah. Like, we didn't gain a user base at all from Genesis. Yeah, like, it doesn't do anything. Alessio, how then do they learn about the project? Yeah, like, like, explain every single thing that happens to them at the computer. Like, that's how Learn Pyre is dialed in. Anyways, I think maybe this is just something that is meant for nobody to understand. Yeah, like, think about every single thing. Yeah. Yeah, but Alessio, nobody gave a fuck about Genesis. Yeah. Because Genesis was not the fad. Genesis markets Genesis. TVL markets TVL. It doesn't market the project. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Do you guys have any questions? I will try to, I'll be making another announcement concerning updates to this dashboard with some screenshots and maybe some other stuff. Yeah. What was bad about the execution of Genesis? Yeah. I don't know of a Genesis ever getting a user base. Alessio, when we turned off the emissions to the Genesis, the point was that Genesis doesn't work. Yeah. Like there isn't any demand for it. What happens, and this is an economist named Minsky talks about this, and this happens, by the way, with crypto Twitter right now involving meme coins. If people from the 2021 season remember Genesis events, and they think of Genesis events as like unsustainable Ponzi schemes that don't like work out most of the time, like you're trying to use bait that they already distrust and then trying to earn their trust. You're trying to bait people in with something they don't trust. So like they're going to be like as resistant as possible to anything else you have to tell them because you're literally using the wrong thing to bait them in. The Genesis markets the Genesis. The Genesis did not market the project. Like, I think that there's still conceptual gaps, but maybe it's not really required for you guys to understand this. Marketing is like the psychological journey being engineered where you're literally thinking about every single experience and every single piece of information and message conveyed to the user in a way they can understand so that they end up changing their behavior. Yeah. Well, Alexi, we still have more time. Yeah. Time cards, I guess. Yeah. But. Eh. Do you know what else failed? Getting 5 Discord servers. In 2022, 5 Discord servers, I could have made 50 million TVL show up from announcements. I personally did it. We probably will get a bunch of new Alezios, Alexi. The marketing meta shifts, meaning like what works in marketing stops working. Because as the project ends up getting cloned, right? Like meme coins get cloned and cloned and cloned. The way they market now would be like pump.fun, or like they just drop a contract address on Twitter, right? And that becomes like the marketing. People don't trust this stuff anymore because it gets more and more like, it becomes more and more like fake pump and dumps. So if you look at like stuff that happened in the last 90 days, yeah, I appreciate the Hormozy reference, but we won't need to. But Alexi, Hormozy is the, it is from Hormozy's book that the Learn Pyre's ability to viralize is part of his designs. Yeah. We won't, Alexi, we won't need any ambassadors. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So you guys are sad today, or at least salty, or, yeah, that's fine. More AI, okay. I don't know if you guys have heard me say this before, but there's an AI bubble. I still believe it's going to pop, and when it pops, it's going to reveal a global recession. Lots of countries right now are just faking a lot of economic data. Thanks, Alezio. We will just tune it until it does. Yeah. Once you have a funnel, it's easy to troubleshoot the funnel. Let's put it that way. Yeah, thanks, Pega. Thanks to everybody else for not being sad as well. Once you actually have a funnel, we use something called Microsoft Clarity, where we're literally tracking every single thing that somebody does in the funnel. Once you have a funnel, it's easy to troubleshoot the funnel because you can literally test it against data. Since we don't have the funnel right now, that's why it's the, we don't have the A/B test to show you guys. Make sense? But yeah, anyways, more on that later. Do you guys have any other questions? Thanks, Alessio. Yeah, I knew you weren't sad. Like, I get that people's patience feels like it's getting tested. Mine is getting tested too. Like, I can definitely feel it. But at the same time, the returns on this are like outsized enough where clearly it's just the right amount of patience. Because to be honest, all impatience is like immaturity. And if you don't learn to cure yourself of impatience, you're just going to get whipped until you do. Yeah, Alessio, why would they look at the project? Okay, great question. So they're not looking at Learn Pyre and then just jumping to the project to look at metrics. In fact, like, they're going through a tutorial. Does that make sense? Which is literally about, and by the way, Alessio, going to DexScreener or going to CoinGecko or going to CoinMarketCap are not in our funnel. Does that make sense? So like, we don't require people to know about those websites, or DeFi Llama, since you're talking about TVL metrics, right? So like, I am not looking to acquire those people because those people like understand Web3 like the wrongest possible way. Does that make sense? They understand it the wrongest possible way, but still don't believe they understand it the wrongest possible way. Alessio, the goal is that we have to be able to allow the maximum amount of new people who don't even know how to use MetaMask to understand this project. So we actually teach people how to install MetaMask and spin up a wallet in LearnPyre, because we're making the top of the funnel as wide as possible. What they need to know is they need to know how to use an internet browser. Make sense? They need to know how to use that. Like, that's on them. That's the one thing we're not teaching, right? So if they can't do that, then we kind of like lose them. But Alessio, like, our number 2 country is in like Turkey, right? And the people of Turkey, like, it's not like we expect them, because of hyperinflation, to suddenly have all this background with things like tomb forks. Do you get what I'm saying? They have a lot of background with meme coins, but every single thing that somebody would learn about, if that makes sense, they would go and scan it like, oh, what's the contract address? Makes sense? Like we're talking to them like they already have this idea of whether or not they should trade it. If they're even being taught the project in that way, like if I'm talking to them about the project, or I'm answering their questions in the way that they're asking them, I'm not converting them. So the point about this is that, like, here, I have a whiteboard here, hang on. You remember how to tell when to sell, right, Alessio? Okay, so how to tell when to sell is it was the minimum viable. Let me see if I can move this back. Does that work? Okay, good enough. All right, here I'll do it like this. Okay, so how to tell when to sell was like the minimum viable funnel. Does that make sense? And by the way, over a year old now, right? How to tell when to sell was all done in like 6 days of work. Does that make sense? It was like I had the epiphany moment to think like, wait a minute, I just need to be able to engineer the sequence of actions from the moment of discovery all the way until they do what I finally want them to do. Does that make sense? And all we did was, can we hook somebody in a Twitter response thread and then get them to join the Discord? Does that make sense? 2 actions. Do you get what I'm saying? And sure as shit, it seems like it worked. Does that make sense? So, imagine LearnPyre the same way, but we are in fact casting a wider net. So first of all, Alessio, do you understand that right now the Wall Street bets phenomenon is all throughout the stock market? Like the AI bubble, in part, is being perpetuated by a whole bunch of people that trade in alpha groups. Siegel alliances. Like, this is also not fundamental analysis. Like, it's a whole bunch of people, like, trading on a rumor, and they have no idea what's going on. And Alessio, the reason they do this is because everybody on the fucking planet is going through a money problem right now. So, like, I want you guys to understand, like, if you feel extra poor these days, the whole planet feels like that. Perhaps the only person who doesn't feel like that is Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA. Does that make sense to you guys? Jensen Huang has more money than he knows what to do with. But everybody else is just like bleeding out right now. Making sense? Yeah, that's the underlying truth. It's a recession. It's been a recession. And then, of course, you have stagflation. Some countries have inflation worse than others. So the point being is, instead of, Alessio, thinking about this, like, learn coin name, look up stats. Yeah. Form quick opinion. This right here, I don't know, can you read this? Let's see. Okay. I don't know if you can read this, but it says learn coin name, look up stats, form quick opinion. Does that make sense? And that's literally what I'm describing, kind of what you're talking about. Here, I'm going to write it in the Discord chat. This would be literally how they do it, like in the status quo. Right? We are not allowing this to even happen. Like we are not bringing them on this journey at all. So the fact of the matter is they go to a website called Learn Pyre. Now, what compels them there, what compels them to go to Learn Pyre in the first place is either they're being driven there. Let me, hang on. Can I sit down? Okay, that kind of works. All right. I can sit down like this. All right. Okay. They're being driven there either from watching a new interview of mine, where, by the way, I have my talking points rehearsed ahead of time, or two, they are being sent there by peer-to-peer, by word of mouth. Okay? Now, the first thing they do at Learn Pyre is they don't learn the coin name. They don't learn shit about a coin name. They instead learn about, they learn that there is a guy, me, arguing that fundamental analysis is possible in crypto. And then I'm going to prove to them that fundamental analysis is possible in crypto over the next few videos. Let me see, where'd that go? So I'm not saying Learn Pyre is not like PYRESWAP, PYRESWAP. We do not do that at all. We do not open up with a logo. We don't fucking it doesn't even end with, you know how to tell when to sell would be that's why you need Pyre BNB, right? Legitimately, when I watched that video, I'm like, damn, I sound so scripted, but it was a good first try. And it got us what we needed to know. But they don't even learn the name of the token Pyre Phantom until the back half of video 5. So they watch 4 videos before they even hear the name of a token. We don't talk about Sonic Labs. We don't talk about fucking, Andre Cronje. We don't talk about Harry Ye. We don't talk about, we don't talk about Solana. We don't talk about meme coins. Make sense? Legitimately, people are going to want to go to Learn Pyre because of the pain point of losing money in crypto from shitty scam trash projects. Hope that makes sense. So the point being is that we first have them watch a video about legitimately that fundamental analysis is possible. Investment analysis is possible in crypto, right? And explaining that the arguments about why it's possible for them too, right? Then before we teach them, we tell them you're now going to go on I think it's called the master plan. It's called the Pyre Moon Rocket Plan. Again, they learn the name Pyre Moon Rocket Plan. Yeah. They learn the name Pyre Moon Rocket Plan before they learn the name PYRESWAP or Pyre Phantom or 2Share or 2Bond or 2Ohm. Make sense? They learn Pyre Moon Rocket Plan. Then they learn PYRESWAP, but only right before they buy Pyre Phantom. But they're only buying Pyre Phantom in video 5 as a tutorial to learn how to swap. Make sense? So we have a tutorial where we teach them 3 ways to fund their MetaMask, 2 ways to bridge to Phantom, and then the one token to get when you get there, which is literally Pyre Phantom, and we teach it to them as you're now learning to swap on a decentralized exchange. And legitimately, it's just literally the default pair on the swap screen is Phantom to Pyre Phantom. You guys seen that before? I know you have, okay? Yeah. So we, in fact, just teach them that swap. Then, by the way, we don't teach them shit about looking at the chart. We don't teach them shit about deck screener. And they can swap back, too, if they want. Yeah, they can swap back, too, if they want. Then we literally give them fucking 2 to 4 hours of fantasy fiction content because we need to make sure they understand about 12 fucking concepts before we can even teach them the FA of PyroPhantom. Oh, Alexi, I just got done reading the Layer 0 white paper. I can show it to you. Yeah. Okay, anyways, yeah, oh, fuck this guy. Yeah, so legitimately, there is nothing that at least seems to be that, like, they would turn off. Like, it's not really clear that that would happen. And, of course, I'm literally looking, I'm actually asking other people, man, fuck this guy, all right. I'm actually asking other people to, like, corroborate what I'm seeing. Yeah. So the way that Layer 0 works uses like a Layer 0 endpoint, Alexi, and it seems that a Layer 0 endpoint is managed entirely by smart contracts, which I believe are immutable, and then also the one thing that Layer 0 uses is Chainlink, right? So like they use Chainlink as the relayer. So I'm actually asking for other people to second check me on like whether or not if Chainlink stopped servicing Phantom, would that affect something? But I don't believe they have. And additionally, then we're going to look at Axelar networks separately. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, whatever. You mean Sergey or Andre? Sergey from Chainlink or Andre, like Andre Cronje? I don't know any other Andre. Oh, why will he be proud of us? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool, I guess. Yeah. No help from him, but yeah. Yeah. I'm talking shit, it's fine. Yeah, no. Yeah, I again, Alexi, that right there, us revitalizing Phantom would, I think, be even good for them if they, like, figure out how to spin it. Like, does that make sense? Alexi, you may have actually been following this project for a long enough time. You know that we were trying to launch, like, when Bitcoin was 29K. Like, that was, in my mind, I was like, this was not even that long ago, but I feel like I was like a child back then. Like, yeah, we're going to do it all in 6 months, guys. And that was the middle of crypto winter, right? It was like, you know, June, July of 2023. Oh, man, it turned off. Okay. And, but like even there, and I want you to know, like, even there was like apocalypse scenarios happening, right? Like, literally the main backend dev, a guy named Cool McCool, some of you guys don't remember him, like, legitimately just vanished. That literally happened in the middle of 2023. And then, like, it was like, well, that's a problem because, you know, in our mind, Cool McCool was, like, going to be the backbone of smart contract development. And then we had to scramble around and then fix it. And then literally every few months during this experience, there have been these apocalypse scenarios where I scramble around and then I fix it. Yeah, and like that's the process. Yeah. I will tell you this. Any other like Web3 founder doing this stuff, they would have like tapped out by now. And I want you guys to understand that at the end of the day, like the amount of people unwilling to keep doing what you need to do to make it are kind of like let's say it's directly proportional to the people whose tax bracket you end up in. So like I want you guys to understand that like all of your patience and all of your time invested in this project, not just your money but your time, like there is a moment where like the payout will be more than you can imagine, and it's probably because the cost was more than you could imagine from the beginning. Does that make sense? I want you to know that like we're not, everything we did in 2024 was like lazy marketing. We were copycatting, which is what like a lot of projects do. We're like, oh, we'll do a Genesis. Oh, we'll get Twitter ambassadors, which is fine. Actually, Twitter ambassadors is fine. Or like doing Twitter space. Actually, I was just doing a bad job at my interviews, but legitimately, like to really get marketing happening, you don't want to copy anybody like on the business side. You want to uniquely have your own understanding of your user and customers like journey towards you. And you want to actually design as much of that as possible. So like marketing is probably the highest value skill when you get it right, because you're literally convincing your user before they even bought your product to begin changing their behavior in a way that once they have their product will help them. Does that make sense? Like we're kind of teaching them to be smarter first. Then when they finally like learn about how Pyre Phantom, the final video on Learn Pyre is this. We're going to call it the P5Q. I might have a better name for it when we finally write it. But P5Q, which, can you guys see that? Let's see. All right, let me just bring that slightly lower. Okay. P5Q meaning five questions. And the important thing here is that from these questions, people are going to know, like, as clear as possible that this is not a project, this is not like the last project they bought into. And I'll even write these questions out real quick. Hang on. Let me see if is my mic going to let me walk over here? Okay. Can you guys read that? I think you can. Yeah. Okay. In 2 words, when buy, when sell, when hold, when use. And I made this language as degen as possible. It's not going to be this degen on Learn Pyre, but for the whiteboard, we can use these. Does that make sense? There is a 5th question, which is, which stands for, are you pondering what I am pondering, Pinky? And this question right here, there's 3 guys, John Maynard Keynes, George Soros, and another guy named Minsky, and they have like their own, never mind. Okay, this one right here basically describes, I don't know, Alexi. Yeah, I don't know. Is it at 1 cent? Is it at 1 cent? No way. Is it lower than Phantom now? I heard that it's lower than Phantom, but I don't know if that's a thing. That sucks. I really feel bad for that. That's another great, well, never mind. Anyways, okay. Okay, so these 4 questions right here, these are questions like, this is the clearest that we can teach people fundamental analysis, like in crypto. I know my head's not on screen, right? Here, I'm just gonna widen my stance like this. Okay, you guys can't see that either, but I'm standing I'm standing very wide right now. Have you guys ever seen this kind of broken down for a crypto token? Like these 4 questions. Sorry, that's a bit much. Have you guys seen these 4 questions? Like ever, has anybody ever like explained these videos? Or sorry, has anybody ever explained a token or like explained this for any project ever? Like when do I buy, when do I sell, when do I hold, and when do I use it? The answer is no, you haven't. But the fact of the matter is that like this right here, this level of clarity, the goal is, by the way, it's not that people are going to look at it and think that, oh shit, I'm going to just put in my life savings right now. Rather, we're going to get a whole bunch of people, like a lot of people, to take a very, very small risk on Pyre Phantom based on this premises, right? Like again, and I'll say this again, I would rather 100,000 people put $5 in than 5 people put 100,000 in. Like that really does matter. I don't know if you guys understand why it matters, but like our goal is to get user base galore and they all bring in like $5, like a small amount, like we're not counting them all being rich. Oh yeah, like what, a whale came in, you mean? These questions? Yeah, but like they don't get answers to them, do they? They don't get answers to them, do they? Yeah, not like fundamental answers. But yeah, Alexi, the point is, these questions are already inside their heads. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right, exactly. So Alexi, by the way, the best marketing you can do is to enter the conversation already taking place in your user's mind. Like enter what they're already thinking about and talk about that. So the fact of the matter is that we can show this and talk about this because these are TWAP thresholds, right? The fucking when used is the IWV. Make sense? This is the IWV. This is TWAP 0.8, less than T.8, and sell is, whatever the fuck you want. We can basically we just talk about TWAP thresholds here, and then we talk about the IWV here. And we talk about when do you want to hold? Do you want to hold it if you bought, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So the point being is that Learn Pyre ends here with this discussion. Then, if they want to, if they now learned it there, they can go look at the chart. Does that make sense? But my goal is that we're not sending one person per day through this funnel in. Does that make sense? As soon as this funnel is live, I would like to have like a feedback group. Well, I'm personally going to get like 10 influencers to go through it. Does that make sense? We're going to have everybody in the circus go through it. And then the goal is to literally test it against a peer review, meaning everybody talks like in an alpha group, or they have like a friend, or they know somebody else who's in crypto. The ask will be to send this link to them and see what they think. Like just say like, hey, this is a project I'm invested in, and there's a few videos here, and I want to know what you think about it. Legitimately just send it. You don't have to talk about vibratility. You don't got to talk about the velvet rope pattern. You don't got to talk about tomb forks. You don't got to talk about Sonic Labs. You don't got to talk about TVL. You don't got to talk about, do you get what I'm saying? Like there's just so many things you don't have to talk about. You don't got to talk about smoldering. You don't got to talk about inflation and deflation. Like you just allow them, yeah. Abolito, as soon as I finish it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, as soon as I finish it. As soon as I can. Yeah. I am, we have a hit list, and I'm trying to get an updated version of that hit list done soon. I'm trying to get Act 1 completely written soon. Yeah, sorry. I apologize for how much delayed it's been, but yeah. This Christmas, that would be amazing. It will probably be after this Christmas, Abolito. Yeah. I think Q1, though, is realistic. Yeah. Q1 of 2026. First quarter. Yeah. That's realistic. Yeah, but I have at least... Yeah, I don't even know how to... I don't even know how to measure the workload in front of me. There's a local machine that has to get built still, which I'll explain that later. But anyways, yeah. These questions right here... are the conversation happening subconsciously? I agree with that, Abuelito. I agree with that. These are the questions happening subconsciously inside people's heads. Like, do I hold it? Do I buy it? Do I sell it? The fact that this project has these baked-in TWAP thresholds simplifies that. The fact of the matter is, though, is that after we simplify it with these 4 questions, we have to ask a 5th question to be like, do you realize that now that everybody knows the answer to these 4 questions, you should expect fake outs? Because if all of you guys are betting on this to happen, you're going to get your hopes dashed because somebody else isn't playing this game, they're playing the game of you. That doesn't make these questions wrong. It just means that these questions are not always going to be, there's going to be a lot of noise in the system regardless. Does that make sense? We're going to make it, okay? Yeah. All right, so everybody's going to cheer up now, right? It's the holidays. Speaking of which, something like never mind. I don't want to talk about like the economy right now. But yeah, it's rough. Like consumer spending and stuff like that. Anyways, do you guys have any questions? I think this did well. I kind of like this without the Pirate Producer account. I don't really know what it does that makes it better. Yeah, we are going to make it. Like, we're continuing to work at this. I'm continuing to do this stream, right? Like, to continue to show face because, you know, do you know that like over the summer, like we just didn't do this on camera for like 90 days? Do you guys know that? Like, I think June, July, August, September, we were not on camera for this. We weren't streaming to Twitter either. Yeah, we weren't streaming to Twitter either. So like, I know that like you're looking to see the chart moon, but like, please appreciate some of the smaller changes. I'm starting to write announcements again. Did you guys notice that? Because this yield dashboard is meant to give you a semblance of control, because I know that you guys don't always feel like you have control when you're just waiting on Fide, who is a crazy person on the internet. I understand. I understand. I will be either doing more of these streams about the yield dashboard, or I'll be announcing more tutorial information about the dashboard to help you guys understand. Yeah. Alexi, well, I would say you should deploy $100 of liquidity and then learn the dashboard. Like I would say even like Wrapped Phantom against Wrapped ETH. Yeah, that's the one that I've been watching. So Wrapped Phantom against Wrapped ETH. Not even our tokens, but rather once this dashboard updates, you'll be able to see, and let me see, hang on, I'm going to look at this computer real quick and see which one yours looks like. Hang on a second. I know I'm off camera now, but. Okay, so I can see the one you're doing right now, and that it looks very much like the one in the announcements, right? Okay, so I'm going to actually go over the metrics that you're already looking at. I'm just going to tell you guys this because this is meant to make you guys more bullish, especially after we drop this update. Because there's now two ways 2 ways to make money while you wait for 5 to finish. 2 ways to make money while you wait for 5, that's me, to finish. Well, thank you, Alessio. That's great. I'm glad you look at metrics. So right now, I'm going to measure the metrics here. So what do we have here? We have LP share. Okay. Your TVL in pool. Your 24-hour volume share. Okay. Your 24-hour fees. Okay, then see, we have a then we have projected, okay. Okay, can you guys see all this? So you have these metrics, right? You have the LP share, you've got your TVL and pool, your 24-hour volume share, your 24-hour fees, 24-hour yield. Now, believe it or not, this stuff all is pretty obvious, and it's almost not really relevant, which is why in the next update, it's going to be shown on the bottom and not the top. What's relevant, let me get a green marker. What's relevant for you guys are these 3 projections. Do you guys see the projections at the bottom? Do you guys know where the yield dashboard is on the DApp? Okay, so the fact of the matter is, our whole promise is teaching people how to analyze, right? Teaching people how to analyze investments. Everybody follow me here? So the fact of the matter is that these 3 projections are 3 different ways to analyze how you can see the investment is doing, how it's been doing, or how you can expect it to do in the future. Does that make sense? Okay, so the point being is, for wrapped Phantom against wrapped ETH, you have 3 different projections, and they're all looking at like a different amount of time to determine how to predict the future, right? Like, do you want to think that today is the average day and then project that? Do you want to think of a week as the average week? Abuelito, I don't know that yet. I don't know, but I will make sure that we do eventually. Like, we will figure out why that's happening. That is a great point, though. I forgot that Rabbi was not acting. I forgot about Rabbi having problems with it. So like, I will look into that. Okay, so the fact of the matter is that nobody can know what the future is like, right? But the fact of the matter is that the more ways that you can analyze the future, you can kind of, on your own, figure out what the real truth is by seeing how wrong these 3 are. Does that make sense to you guys? I want you guys to understand, like, the answer is never simple in finance, because finance and investing is meant to tantalize you. The market knows you know, like, you can't, okay. you cannot watch a market and then like maintain laboratory settings, or should I say laboratory conditions on that market's behavior. Because if you see something going up and you add more money into it, you're now changing its behavior. Does that make sense to you guys? So if you were like, if you had 4 different LPs and you were measuring their projections and you just kept feeding the one that does the best, does that make sense? You're now affecting the way that it's going to behave in the future. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you are in fact either rewarding it or you might be indulging it. Do you guys get what I'm saying here? And that's why we show 3 projections, because the end result, it might be higher, it might be lower, but it's for you guys to learn on your own and keep that as your own alpha. In Wall Street, everybody keeps their strategies to themselves. Does that make sense to you guys? Like there are common ways to do valuations, like DCF, reverse DCF, EBITDA, but as soon as everybody does those equations, it no longer becomes useful because too many people are in the same position. It's like being a broccoli farmer in the broccoli village. So you have to add your own analysis into this equation. Sorry, you have to take these data points and then add your own understanding on top of it. And then iterate on that, and that's how you develop your own investing strategy. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, it might be above 20, it might be somewhere between 24 and it might be around 7 days, right? Maybe it's around 14 days. Like, we don't know, right? It's not our job to tell you, because as soon as we start telling you, that no longer becomes useful. Like, you guys have to kind of track this on your own. Does that make sense? Because if we did that, we would be Jim Cramer. Does that make sense? Right? So we show you 3 projections. Alessio, I'm so glad that exists, because describing that phenomenon is crazy. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't, like legitimately, everyone's like, well, which one is it? Well, if I tell you which one it is, which I don't know because it's the future, I would be Jim Cramering. And then, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like that's not how predicting the future works. Like, there could always be a nuclear bomb that goes off. There is 3 areas on the planet right now. Sorry, there are 4 areas on the planet right now where war is either already quite bad or could get bad. There's 4 areas, right? Venezuela, Taiwan, Ukraine, and Gaza, right? Right? Like, everything's crazy right now. So, like, the fact of the matter is that if a nuclear bomb goes off, I would expect Bitcoin to flash crash like 60%, just being honest. That's a lot, right? I don't think it'll kill Bitcoin, but I think that would see, like, the markets crash like fucking the apocalypse. Make sense? So, that's the problem with predicting the future. However, most of the time, nuclear bombs do not go off. See? Good news. You guys didn't think I was going to have any good news. Okay, so the point being is, these projections, that's one way to make money while you wait for 5. Follow me, Alessio, Alexi, Abolito, Dr. Mac. This right here, these projections, this is just one way to make money. There's a second way, okay? The second way to make money is through an update that's called projected demand on Pyre Phantom. Alessio is better than that. No, better. Well, I mean, that is a way, but the fact of the matter is that if you already hold it illiquid, and again, we're talking about, let's say we're talking about wrapped Phantom against wrapped ETH. Half of the yields, does that make sense? Indeed, Alessio, indeed, indeed. Half of the yields go into projections. So we have a 0.7 swap fee, right? Making sense? You know what? Let me try to get a screenshot. Hang on. Let me try to post the second one here into Discord. Let me see if I can do it. Hang on. Okay, I can't find the LP I'm looking for, and I don't think I have Discord on that computer. Okay, of course it just cut me off here. Yeah, it is. Look at that. All right. Anyways, so the point being is, if you look at the yield, not only can you shop around for the interest rate, certain LPs put buy pressure on Pyre Phantom. So what that means is if you want Pyre Phantom to climb faster, you can control that through pushing your liquidity around. Like you can in fact shorten the amount of time for Pyre Phantom to climb by putting LP in the right area. So the fact of the matter is that half the swap fee goes to yield, which literally compounds, by the way. So it gets, over time it grows. And then the other one literally buys Pyre Phantom, which kind of also compounds. I hope that makes sense. I'm glad I put the whiteboard up here today. Do you guys have any questions? And I think let's see, does the lighting still work out? Yeah, okay. Do you guys have any questions? And my audio still working? Yeah? Look at that. Wow, fantastic. This was pretty yeah. Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming to the stream. Do you guys have any questions? Thanks, Odin. Yeah, I apologize. Oh, yeah, I know you guys I know it's been a while. It's been a while for me too. But like, we're gonna make it. Yeah, I'm not numb to that. I am not blind to what you see or deaf to what you hear or numb to what you feel. But like, we're going to make it. And as I immerse myself like into attacking the work on this project again, I only see more proof that we're going to make it, because nobody is really swinging the marketing hammer harder than me. I mean, you'll see that though. I mean, right now if you think marketing is advertising or shilling, it's not. Yeah, okay. Alessio, I'm going to, when we get the dashboard, the new version done. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. I will now end the stream over here. Thanks, everybody. And look, if I transition like this, let's see. Does it work like this?